Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a wicked day. Welcome back to the Falcon videos. It is day 5 of working on this thing non-stop to get it ready for its 500 horsepower tune. Well, I hope, I'm fingers crossed, 500 horsepower tune. In the previous videos over Christmas time, we ended up doing valve springs, head studs, and a full new timing kit because we found a few little gremlins inside the timing cover. So unfortunately, the valve springs and head studs led us down a little bit of a rabbit hole, but we're back on track today, and we are going to be installing something very cool. But before we do this, I want to see you guys down in the comments and let me know what kind of power you think this car's going to make on 98 with the turbo I'm about to show you. And as always, I'd really appreciate it if you guys chucked a huge like on today's video and just comment whatever you reckon. We're getting back into the swing of things. The Falcon content is going strong, and the only way that we can keep increasing the viewers is by chucking some comments for the algorithm. I appreciate all you amazingly loyal people that I see commenting every single time. I try to reply to every single comment known to man, so I very much appreciate it. Let's show you guys a big turbo. So this turbo right here is a Pulsar 3582 Gen 2. Gen 2 meaning it has a different turbo on wheels. It's a little bit better flowing than a GT 3582 that comes out in the regular Falcons, which would be the BA, BF, and the F6. They all came with this size turbo from factory, and they do make 500 horsepower any day of the week without any issues. Now, this being a Gen 2, it has a few different little variations. First of all, you can see that this is an anti-surge 4-inch intake. Now, there's a few benefits to it, but the biggest disadvantage is this thing kind of stops the dose a little bit. So we're going to be doing some spicy little things to make that better in the future. But for now, this cover is going to be completely fine. And as for the rear turbine wheel, it's actually slightly high flowed than what the standard 3582 Garrett would be that came factory on these cars. Slightly different fin design, blows much better. So in turn, this should be a little more responsive and still net us that incredible 500 horsepower mark that these barrows are so very capable of. Now, the other thing that we also did was I grabbed an IWG 75 wastegate for this thing. So the Pulsar ones are known to have a few slight issues, and when we were building this thing at work, that the wastegate wasn't actually opening or cracking at the marked PSI that was literally written in white texture on the top. So I'm so glad that we managed to get this IWG 75. We also had to pair that one there with a longer Turbo Smart Clevis as well, because the IWG 75 with the Pulsar turbos, it's slightly different. They're actually a different size. There's a few different dimensions to it, so unfortunately I did have to go and order that. It was an extra 20 bucks, but it's not really an issue. And then I also got the Bar of the World bracket here for the wastegate as well. Pretty much every single Pulsar turbo that they make will actually come set up for a BABF. So there's a few things you need to do to actually make this turbo work. First of all, you have to clock the turbo. The BABF actually shoot the outlet for the turbo straight down into the ground, whereas the FG actually shoot it straight up. So you have to actually turn this all the way around. The rear housing has to clock ever so slightly differently, but then when you do that, the bracket is also different. So if you jump onto Bar of the World, he actually has these listed on his website. So if you guys were to get a Pulsar 3582 or 3584, I highly recommend grabbing the bracket, grabbing the turbo, of course, and then also grabbing an IWG 75. Now, along with that, we also drilled and tapped a 1/8 MPT port into this so we could do a boost reference directly from that. A lot of people actually think that this right here, this little tiny thing, is actually the boost reference port. It is not. This is actually for a speed sensor if you want to run it. But yes, this entire thing is ready to go. We've set it with the correct amount of preload, and then this thing does crack at about 14 or so PSI. So this thing's going to be absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to chuck it in the car. But first of all, we have to get out the 3576. All right. Well, this beautiful work of art is a 3576. This turbo here was actually a little bit different to the BABF. It actually came only on the FG Mark II, and FGX. And this was only in the XR6, the G6C Turbo, and a few other cars, but yeah, this is the smaller of the two. It's supposed to make it a little bit more responsive, a little bit more drivable, but these things pretty much tap out at around the 430 to 450 horsepower mark. 16 PSI on these things, which is where I ran my last turbo at, and it was decently reliable, but yeah, 16 PSI will usually net you between 430 and 450 on 98, and then you could push it on E85 if you wanted to, but yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't recommend doing that. But yes, there's a few things we need to quickly grab off this full kit right here to get the Pulsar ready to just bolt straight in. Now, first of all, we also need to grab the manifold. I also need to grab the oil drain and the coolant fitting as well. Aside from that, this one here should be ready to bolt straight in the car. Now, this was such a simple job. The manifold bolts on the FGs are very known to just come loose. So a lot of these bolts were actually very easy to take out. None of them snapped inside the head, which is awesome. The dump was a little bit harder to get to. I just doused the entire thing in WD-40 and the thing came out quite nicely. I also think I found a quick little exhaust leak too. I actually found in one of the previous videos that I had a few other issues with bolts backing out of the rear turbine housing, but this is the second one, so this kind of confirms that I had a few little exhaust leaks, and potentially this may be a different turbo or a different core to what was originally in this car. Now let's just say this was the original turbo. This is 320,000 kilometers old, and it feels pretty good. I wouldn't have any issues with running this on my car. Obviously it's a little bit dirty, a little bit gross, but all the fins look in absolutely amazing condition. I actually found that across this entire car, it actually has a really nice, really good service history, so I'm really happy with the entire condition. But yes, unfortunately, the little baby 3576 is getting taken off. So just quickly disassemble the entire lot, and then we'll get to replacing it with the 3582 Gen 2. You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. It's just a smidge bigger. Just a smidge. Not crazy, but a little bit. I also want to give a massive thank you to Power of the World for, whilst I was there grabbing my timing kit and everything, also gave me a full set of titanium hardware. So this is going to be pretty much for everywhere. Now the only issue that I'm currently facing is I can't get these studs out. I've already stripped 2 of them, and I don't believe I'm going to be able to get them out without ruining the threads. So I'm going to give it a shot, see how we go, but I don't believe I'm going to be able to get those off. But either way, I have a full stud kit for the exhaust manifold, and then I also have a full stud kit for the dump as well. So very happy about that. I'm going to install all of these in the head real quick, and I'm just going to be skipping out the forwardmost 2, otherwise you can't actually get the manifold in with the power steering bracket in place. So just going to skip the front 2 for now. We'll do that once the manifold's in, but the rest of them we'll just chuck straight in. Also, thanks to Power of the World, brand new exhaust manifold gasket going on as well. Alright, so I've got all the lines on the turbo, the oil restrictor, which is a must for these turbos. It's also included in the kit, is installed. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get the studs out of this, so we're just going to reuse what was there. I even hoped that I could maybe use the titanium hardware on it, but for some reason, I'm not quite sure why, it's not working for me. Now, these from factory actually don't use any gaskets. However, this being a turbo replacement, it does have a T3 gasket in the kit, so we are going to be using it. Alright, so we have the full thing built. Let's chuck it in the car. Another thing I completely forgot to let you guys know about is with the wastegate as well, these turbos do still have the issue where they do still boost creep. Not so much necessarily at sort of the power you'd run at a standard 3582 or a 3576, but they do boost creep. Now, we actually ended up porting this turbo here about 1 mil all the way around, even more, and then we also tapered it into the turbine housing as well, so that way we could try to prioritize the gate here as well. So that'll prevent the boost creep. It was recommended to me by George, who's going to be tuning the car, as well as Terry, as well as Mez, as well as everyone. So we did that, and yeah. Anyway, let's chuck this thing in the car really quick. This thing is so heavy. Alright, turbo's in the car. Now, one thing I have noticed is my water line, which you guys can see just down here, doesn't actually line up perfectly with the other hose line there, so I'm gonna have to try and work out a way to fix that, whether I bend a certain line out the way, or I don't really want to bend too many things, but I'm going to try and make it work. It comes very close to the housing and it comes very close to the wastegate there too, so I'm just going to have to try and bend it and see how we go. But either way, turbo's in the car. Now I can do the dump and everything, do all the hardware, but this is a very straightforward install. Probably easier than my RB, to be fair. Super easy. The other thing I also did was going to be replacing the washer bottle. This is like 50 bucks. That's got a heap of calcium and gross stuff in it. This is nice and pretty and brand new, so we'll chuck this in really quick as well. Alright, just like that, turbo's in. Now I've already pre-primed the turbo ready to go. I just don't have a 45-degree intake for it. We're going to put some water in it, and then we'll start her up for the first time. Now, if you guys don't know already, I run MoCool in every single one of my cars. This little bottle, you're supposed to run at like a 5% concentrate. The best thing is if you're out on track and this happens to spill everywhere, it's not slippery. I can't remember exactly what was in it to make it do that, but yeah, it's basically like a coolant concentrate, but it's clear and it's not slippery if you were to blow a radiator hose or something similar, so that's pretty cool. The FG takes about between 10 or 12 liters or something like that, so I'm gonna put about 500 mil or so of this, and then should be good to go. All right, about to start it up for the first time. Let's see how she goes. I quickly went down to Autobahn as well. Quickly made a bit of a 4-inch intake as well, because I completely forgot this thing had a 4-inch. But yeah, tied up everything else. Everything else is back in the car, ready to go. Disgustingly good. So, there's one thing left to do. Send it. Beautiful. Not seeing any leaks, not seeing anything out of the ordinary. Everything sounds amazing. That's so loud. I also chucked in a brand new thermostat too. Just because I have one lying around, I actually got given one with the car. Alright, I'll quickly get it out the garage, we'll have a look at it outside. Beautiful. Alrighty. Obviously can't boost it or anything. Ooh, what do you reckon, Sarah?
It's cute. It's got enough little whistle.
I got a little dose.
Yeah. Oh. I mean,
No.
It sounds really good.
It sounds really good. I don't have a dose at the moment. I can't get the car into boost at all because we obviously don't have a tune on the car. It's getting tuned probably like the next 1 or 2 weeks. I actually don't have a date for it just yet, but yeah, George from ProFlow, the bloke that does all the full boost cars, is going to be the one to tune it. Very excited. But yes, we're going to be doing this thing, not with PCM Tech this time actually, we're going to be trying out HP tuners. George is quite familiar with the program, and apparently he has a really good ZF tune, so I'm very excited to do the ZF tune with the, oh mine, that's water in the back. But I'm very excited to do the new ZF tune with, you know, something that he's got proven, see if we can try and find some more issues with the torque converter. But aside from that, this turbo sounds so good. That anti-surge sounds so good.
You just want to rip it, don't you?
I want to hit on this thing so hard. I just want to go for it. I have a feeling this is going to be a lot more drivable than my last car, to be fair. How scared were you in the last car?
The last tune that you did, what was it, like 440 or 600 about?
No, so the first one was 440. Yep. The second one was 620.
Yeah, the 621, that was too much.
Okay.
I think that even scared you.
A little bit.
A little bit. It was like,
oh, the people in the comments will definitely go, it scared you, stop doing mods to your car.
It just
what
wasn't.
Is this?
I don't know.
That's all brand new. Wow.
Retail. I know, I haven't been down this way forever. And it's like so much is happening. It said retail.
Retail?
Yeah,
yeah, okay, alright.
But yeah, I feel like it was good, and then you pushed it, and then it just like wasn't enjoyable to drive, and I just don't think it was controllable.
It was controllable, I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Do we have the starlights in this though?
I mean, it's nowhere near as much as doing the other starlights that you have to do. It's like half the size.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, pains me to be back in a Falcon.
Listen to that turbo. This isn't even making boost. This is just cruising. This is zero boost.
Wasn't it doing this before you did all the work to it? Like it was turbo fluttering before.
turbo fluttering before?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like when you first bought it, like the entire time, because it's always had a turbo. Isn't that right?
What are you talking about?
It always had a turbo.
It's an XR6 turbo.
Yeah.
It always had a turbo.
Yeah, so it's always had a flutter. So why is the flutter such a big deal? Because it's a new flutter.
It's a new flutter.
It's a new flutter.
It's a new turbo.
New flutter.
And new turbo with a new anti-surge has a different characteristic for flutter. So because it has an anti-surge, it might not flutter as much. So that's why I'm really, really hoping that this thing will still flutter quite nicely.
You know what you should do?
What?
Get a little audio tape with just flutter sounds. And then just
What?
every car's a flutter car.
No, because then it will happen in my BRZ and it sounds like shit. So yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
But that actually sounds so sick.
All good.
I've never had a car with ball bearing intake noise. Or ball bearing anti-surge front noise. Alright guys, anyway, thank you very much for watching. I very much appreciate it. This is pretty much all you guys are going to get for now. The Falcon Ute, I'll probably do a fuel pump install, which you guys will see in the future, but as soon as the fuel pump's done, this thing will be pretty much off the channel until it gets tuned. I won't be able to drive it, I won't be able to do much at all. Yeah, 2 videos you guys will see is us doing an Ants 3.5-inch exhaust as well, and then we'll also be doing a fuel pump in it, talking about a shutter of course, has to play this thing. But yeah, we'll do that. And then yeah, we'll get it tuned, ready for 500 horsepower. It's probably going to make more than 500 horsepower. I don't want more than 500 horsepower, but yeah, I don't know. George will do his thing. I don't want power. I just want to make a reliable, fun driving
vehicle.
Car.
Towing vehicle.
Towing vehicle. But yeah, that turbo sounds so good. That's as good as you guys are going to get. That was 3 PSI. Sorry, Gene. I know you told me not to do it, but I'm doing it. Alright guys, see you later. Have a good one. Peace.